What's happening, guys? It's your boy TC back with another video. So we're talking transfers yet again, and this is the second episode actually of the season 3 of the Daily Gunners Talk. Let's talk about Fabinho. So we know Fabinho has recently just signed for Liverpool, and he's signed for what is actually quite a cheap fee in my opinion, in terms of the player that they are currently getting. Of course, the fee that is being reported within the press will be the 40 to 45 million pound mark, and the rest of the 5 million. So the fee is 40 million, and the rest of the 5 million will be made out of clauses and add-ons. But truthfully speaking, fantastic signing for Liverpool, I'm not even going to lie. So reports have actually surfaced today suggesting that Arsenal made a late move for Fabinho. Of course, people weren't really aware what Liverpool were doing. No one knew that Fabinho was on his way to Liverpool from Monaco. And of course, when the news actually surfaced, it turned out to be a surprise for a number of people within the media, people that have very influential social media accounts out there. But it certainly turned out to be a complete surprise. It's only a few days after the Champions League final as well. So of course, it is very interesting. Of course, they do have another midfielder that will be coming in as well called Keita. They've also been linked with Fekir, so it looks like Jurgen Klopp is throwing the hammer at absolutely everything. And of course, we do know in the summer that they purchased Oxlade-Chamberlain. I don't see a future for him. Of course, there's certainly a future for him at Liverpool. He can be deployed pretty much within wide areas throughout the middle, but with the signing of Keita as well as Fabinho, his chances are going to be limited. So of course, I'm sort of deviating away from the whole point, but reports did surface suggesting that Arsenal made a late move for Fabinho, and essentially that actually came up to nothing, and we didn't end up getting the player in typical Arsenal style. We have been linked with a player that's certainly been confirmed for by another club, I should say. But what this means to me, really, it actually confirms that Emery is actually in the market or on the market for or searching for a central midfielder, mainly a defensive one. I have mentioned in previous videos suggesting that we may end up seeing Steven Nzonzi at Arsenal due to the fact that Emery has worked with him at Sevilla, and it looks like Emery will be tapping up players that play within La Liga, as well as players he is aware of from during his time, the time he spent in France. But of course, yet again, in typical Arsenal style, as I said, this was a failed bid. It just reinforces, of course, that we are in the market, and a lot of players as well would not be attracted to be coming to Arsenal purely because we are not offering Champions League football. Liverpool have just been in the final. Of course, they have actually a bigger make weight, if you like, in terms of actually convincing players to come in to sign for Arsenal, and the fee was relatively quite cheap for the player that they are getting. He's only 24, as a Brazilian international, fantastic passing distribution. Basically the player that we need at Arsenal, but of course on this occasion it failed. Fingers crossed, we are still in the market searching for a central defensive midfielder, and we certainly hope securing one within this particular transfer window. And moving on, the next story within this particular episode will be in regards to the new Arsenal sponsorship deal. So as we all know, Rwanda have actually started to sponsor Arsenal's sleeve. As we all know as well, that last season, at the start of the last season, the Premier League actually allowed teams to actually have sleeve sponsors. So the traditional sponsors would have been the kit sponsors, as well as the main sponsor, who's usually across the chest or just below the chest. And now we are seeing sleeve sponsors on the left or right sleeve. I'm not too sure, either one of them really. But of course, Arsenal was actually or is being sponsored by Rwanda, and the deal was actually certainly criticised when the deal was announced. And for me, really, it turned out to be quite a peculiar deal, purely because, one, it's a country. Two, it's a country with not many resources, but it's certainly a country with a very growing economy, and it is a country that's not well known amongst tourists from this part of the world in Europe. So essentially, that particular deal came under criticism, and the deal really was worth roughly around £30 million, which in the grand scheme of things in football talk, it's not a lot of money, but for a country like Rwanda, that money was supposedly, or some people were saying that that money can be used in certain areas in different parts in the country to actually develop their own people. But to me, this is a great deal for Rwanda, purely because it actually brings awareness to the billions of people that watch football around the world in terms of what that particular country is. There may be people out there who haven't got a clue where Rwanda is in Africa, or if that particular country even existed. And reports have actually come out today suggesting that they've seen a surge of UK tourists really visiting Rwanda since the announcement of that particular deal. So a lot of people were criticising the deal, essentially saying that this was the poor sponsoring the rich. But I'm in complete favour for this particular deal. The tourism prime minister in Rwanda came out and said that from that particular £30 million, they will potentially get £300 million back from tourists coming into the country. Tourism is the biggest forex generator for them, and essentially you have to invest money in order to get money back. So to me, this was a fantastic deal for the country as a whole. It brings full awareness around, but in terms of the criticism, I don't see it. It doesn't really make sense to me. Of course, there will always be people saying that the money needs to be spent better elsewhere within that particular country, but this is certainly a win-win situation. Of course, we will be able to see the effects of this deal in the coming years, but for me personally, fantastic deal. So as usual, guys, let's just have a quick recap on this episode. We obviously discussed the Mr. Fabinho deal by Arsenal, as well as the fact the Rwanda deal has been criticised by some people within Rwanda themselves and some other prominent politicians in regards to the sleeve sponsorship with Arsenal. So as usual, guys, please do let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. So once again, guys, it's your boy TC from I'm Gonna Talk TV, and I'm out.